All right, so in this training, I want to go over training basically and how to train for your goals. So, given that the new year's upon us, I think this could be especially helpful, given that everyone has these new year's resolutions, a lot of them are fitness and health oriented. So, to outline some training specifically for your goals, because there is a big difference between exercising and training that not that many people talk about. Exercising is basically just moving for fun. So, you go out for a walk, you go out for a hike, you just get a sweat because it feels good. You go to the gym, you just kind of do some random stuff, get a pump because it feels good. You like looking pumped up in the mirror, like lifting some weights, all good stuff. But if you have no real goal, you have no plan, you have no periodization for an end goal from your training, from your results of pushing yourself, then that's not training. That's just exercising. And while you might gain some fruit from this and get stronger, get faster, get better doing this in the beginning, those are newbie gains. And those are basically just because you're new to the gym, you're new to whatever exercise system you're doing, and you're neurologically adapting to that stimulus because your body's never hit it before. So those newbie gains will run out quick if you are not using a good training program, if you are not training for your goals. So we have three main categories of goals, I should say. We have aesthetic driven goals, we have performance driven goals, we have longevity driven goals. It's the triangle of awareness. Okay. So when we think of aesthetic driven goals, what is this? So, bikini body for girls, like the classic physique for guys, wide upper frame, small waist, down developed legs, the beach body. So, that can be an example of aesthetically driven goals. What are performance goals? So performance goals are typically more skill-based and sport specific. So, if you're a football player, you're trained to be better at football. Those are performance goals, sport based. Triathlon, marathon, biathlon, bike race, all these different stuffs. It's sport specific, it's skill specific. Those are when I for performance goals, that's what we're talking about. Longevity goals. You just want to be healthy. You don't want to get osteoporosis. You want to have good heart health. You want to have healthy joints. You don't want to get a bunch of arthritis. You want to have good tendons, healthy muscles to support a long, active life. That's more so longevity goals. So now that we've established our three categories of goals and hit our triangle of awareness, let's discuss how we can train for these goals. So when we think of aesthetic goals, remember bikini body, Mr. O, aesthetic goals. Basically, get muscle, get lean. That's kind of like what it comes down to. So when we're looking at training, if we're training for aesthetics, then a lot of stuff we can kind of throw out the door. And when we start training for aesthetics, it's pretty simple. Progressive overload. So what that is each week you're going to basically try and lift more volume. Volume is the accumulation of weight and reps. It's not just reps, and it's not just weight. When you multiply your weight by your reps, that's your volume. So each week when you're lifting, you want to try and lift more. And then, as you keep lifting, it'll be every 2 weeks. Then you keep lifting, it'll be every 4 weeks. Then as you get more and more advanced, kind of this progression is going to slow. And that basically tells you're getting really good at lifting. The most elite lifters in the world, most elite, bodybuilders in the world, most elite performers in the world, they're going for minuscule gains in a year. Like if they can just get like 5% better in a year, that's a great year for elite athletes. So, back to the original point, progressive overload, lifting more as you continue to, so we can continue to bring that adaptive stress to those muscles. We can grow stronger. Stronger muscles or bigger muscles or stronger muscles. We need to grow our muscles. Again, working to build muscle, get a bigger frame, got to have muscle do it. Getting leaner. So this is, contrary to popular belief, really not even popular, because most certified people or most people who know their stuff know this is kind of a garbage claim. But the whole cardio loses fat is garbage. It's like doing certain exercise types, HIIT training, all this different stuff to burn fat more. Trash, garbage. Don't listen to it. The only way to lose fat is to be in a caloric deficit, and then it doesn't really matter what training you're doing. Training can help you burn more calories, but that's really all it's doing. You can't target fat by a specific type of training. So to get bigger, we have to, for aesthetics, it's more so you're getting in the gym, you're going through progressive overload, you're lifting more each week, bodybuilding stuff. It's, legs, push, pulls, different systems like that. And then how we can get sufficient amount of volume within our progressive overloads is through hypertrophy. So hypertrophy is basically kind of like the general term or the general meaning behind lifting to build muscle. So you think hypertrophy, you think high reps. That's kind of like that is the typically known, or method for getting bigger or putting on mass is more reps. And this is true, but it's not as many as you think. Typically hypertrophy hits when you hit the 6+ rep range. So strength is like 1 to 5. And then once you get to like 6+, that's more so hypertrophy. So you don't need like these 20, 30 rep sets to get hypertrophy. You're there once you get to 6. So now that we've established for aesthetic goals to gain muscle, to gain lean mass, you got to progressively overload. So, whether it's squatting, benching, curls, deadlifting, pull-ups, all these different things, all these different weight-bearing resistance training movements, you got to progressively overload. So add more volume, add more reps, add more weight as you progress through your training programs. You do it in a hypertrophic manner, so 6+ reps. Now, all of your training needs to be there, but a good bulk of it needs to be in 6+ reps if you want to gain muscle. If we're going for 1 to 5, that's going to be more so strength training. And yes, bigger muscles are stronger, but you don't need to get bigger to get stronger. That's why you see these elite level power lifters, elite level Olympic weightlifters that are super small in the lower weight classes and can just throw a mass amount of weight. You don't need to get bigger to get stronger. So to get bigger, you need those higher rep ranges, 6 reps plus. All the way, you can go up to 30 if you want. I don't know why you'd want to, but you can go up to 30. Now, a couple good starting points. A lot of people do a lot more volume, meaning sets, than they need to. 10 to 20 sets per body part. So if you're looking to grow your legs, you want to hit 10 to 20 working sets of leg movements per week. That's it. So now, what is a working set? A working set is when you are in a range of an RPE from 5 to 10, preferably from like that 7 to 9 range. Now, what does that mean? RPE is rate of perceived exertion. Now, when you get into that basically means if you say you're at how many reps you have left in the tank. So if you do a set, you call it a 9 RPE, that means if someone held a gun to your head, you could only get 1 more rep. So a lot of the times when we claim it to be a 9 RPE, it's not really a 9 RPE. So basically training intensely, training the correct volume, advanced lifters only really need 10 to 20 working sets per body part to grow. If you're a beginner, and a beginner does not mean just starting the gym. A beginner basically means if you are still within the confines of lifting in a correct, efficient, well-programmed manner, you are a beginner. So you could have been in the gym for 10 years, but if you haven't been lifting well, if you haven't been using a good training program, if you haven't been using, proper periodizations and progressions, you might still be a beginner. Or vice versa, you could only be in the gym for 2 years, but by the end of those 2 years, or for that full duration of those 2 years, you've had a coach who knows what they're doing. You've had great training programs. You had great periodization, great progressions, and by the end of those 2 years, you maxed out your newbie gains. You're an advanced lifter. So for beginners, because I feel like that's where most people usually are, that 5 to 10, 5 to 8 rep or working set per body part range usually suffices. If you're lifting intensely, intelligently, and efficiently, if you hit 5 to 8 working sets per body part, so if you're trying to grow your legs as a beginner, you hit 5 to 8 working sets of leg movements per week, you're probably going to grow. So what does this look like? How does this carry on? So volume is based on, specific individual, it's specific base to base. It's kind of like nutrition. Some people, like I said, advanced lifters need more volume to continue to progress, to continue to get stronger, to continue to build muscle. More beginner level lifters need less volume. tailor your volume to your progression level. If you're at 5 working sets per muscle group and you're getting stronger and you can increase volume week by week or bi-weekly, keep rolling with 5 sets. Don't do more volume than you need to. But once you stop, once you plateau, and this is, you're recovering, you're eating enough, you take a deload week, and then you get back to it. And then like that same amount of volume is you're still in that plateau. That's not the volume. So that's how you want to deem our volume. You don't want to deem it by like, oh, I have to do as many sets. Do as many sets as you need to get strong. You don't want to do more because you're taxing your system more than you need to grow. So that is kind of a general term of like aesthetic lifting, how to build muscle, some starting points, volume-wise, effort-wise, intensity is always king. And then, so yeah, that's kind of like the baseline of what you need to do for aesthetic goals. You got to build muscle and you got to eat, whether it's, a caloric deficit to lean down, caloric surplus to get bigger. You got your diet and nutrition has to be in order. And then you have to lift adequate amount volume-wise with intensity in a correct amount of sets. And then that'll get you to your aesthetic goals. That's more aesthetic training. Performance-based training, like I said, this is sport training. This is, marathon, triathlon, biathlon. It's a swimming race, it's a bike race, CrossFit, wrestling, Olympic lifting, powerlifting, all these different stuff. Performance is usually sport specific. So how do you tailor your training for performance? You have to do that sport. Sports or skills, you have to train a skill to get better at it. So if you want to get faster, if you want to have a faster mile time, a faster marathon time, you need to run. If you want to be a faster swimmer, you need to swim. If you want to be a better football player, you need to play more football. If you want to be a better basketball player, you need to play more basketball. So that. If you look at power lifters and you look at Olympic lifters, people kind of make fun of power lifters for like, they do one deadlift and then they like sit down for 3 minutes and then they go again and like they do like 10 reps in like 2 hours. But that's their sport. Their sport is moving the maximum amount of load as possible in that time. They get like 3 chances to hit a weight or progress in weight, and like that's it. So every single rep needs to be as perfect as possible. Every single rep needs to be at max capacity. They're training for their sport. It's the same with Olympic lifters. Olympic lifters, their volume their lifts are the snatch and the clean and jerk. Most of their volume are going through snatches and clean and jerks, or progressions through that, whether it's different types of pulls, different types of deadlifts, different positional work. Majority of they have some accessory work to keep them healthy and to get them stronger, but majority of their work is practicing that skill, it's practicing that lift. It's performance driven, it's skill driven. So if you have performance goals, if you want to do a certain amount of, it doesn't have to be a sport, but for performance, say you want to squat 315, deadlift 405, bench 225, be able to do 15 pull-ups, 20 dips, and then run a 7-minute mile. Let's just say those are your fitness goals for 2022. You need to do all those things. You need to practice them. You need to squat. You need to deadlift. You need to bench. You need to work on pull-ups. You need to work on dips. You need to go run fast, run long. You need to practice those traits to get better at those skills to actually achieve your fitness or achieve your performance-driven goals. Performance is all repetition. It's all skill-based. It's a lot different from aesthetic training. Aesthetic training, you just need to give the muscle the right stimulus, continue to overload it, and then it'll grow. Now, there's more biomechanics you can get into to make more efficient lifting or aesthetic driven or aesthetic reasons and stuff like that. But that's way more than we cover in this training. Remember, aesthetics, build muscle, get bigger. You need right volume, you need right intensity, and you need adequate set per week to grow your muscle. Performance, skill-based, hammer the skill, hammer the thing. You got to practice it to get better at it. Longevity. Now, longevity is kind of a tougher conversation for most people because you automatically associate working out with getting healthy. And yes, that is true. We are meant to move. Our bodies are meant to endure loads. They're meant to move. They're meant to do things. They're not meant to be sedentary. However, when we are lifting, we are doing high intensity exercises, we're training, we're pushing ourselves, what we think we're supposed to do. we're inducing stress on our system. But we know that, right? To get stronger, to build muscle, you need to stress your body. So then you stress it, you recover it, it comes back bigger and stronger to be able to lift that load. You do it and you repeat that process. The same thing with, with say you're training for a marathon, trying to get faster. Every time you run, you try and run faster. And obviously you have tapers and everything like that. But end all be all, you run, you try and get faster, you stress your body, you recover, and then now your body adapts to that speed, so it's no longer a stressor. But you have to repeat the cycle to continue to get faster. So you're continually stressing your body from an aesthetic and a performance base. To get better at stuff, you have to push yourself. To get bigger, you have to push yourself. To get stronger, you have to push yourself. These are stressors on the body. And we know stressors are one of the biggest hinderers of longevity. Stress compromises your immune system, compromises your hormonal system, compromises your sleep, compromises your recovery if you're not implementing correct principles. So if we're going for longevity, when there's so many outside stressors that we can't control, you have a busy day at work, you have family drama, you have, you get sick, X, Y, and Z. There's all these different stressors in our lives. Food, it's hard to tell what food is processed, especially if you're eating out. Most of the food's processed. Just it is, unless it's very specific, nutrition-based restaurant. A lot of the food's processed. So between food and life, there's a lot of stressors that you can't really control. And then you implement stress from your training. Now you're putting your body through a lot of stress. Yeah, you're going to grow and you're going to get better, but a lot of stress, and odds are it's going to hinder your longevity ability. So for longevity, if your goal is basically just to move well, to feel good, to be able to do stuff, go hike, go for a walk, do the charity 5K whenever you need to, or whenever you want to, you can, lift stuff as much as you need to. You don't need to, you don't need your neighbor to come help you get something from the top shelf because it hurts when you raise your arms. You don't want your bones to degrade, X, Y, and Z. All these things associated with longevity. Training wise, you're looking at, getting your steps in, mobility, flexibility, stretching, making sure your body has adequate blood flow, doing enough resistance training to keep your joints and your bones and your muscles strong and able. This does not mean going going to a 9 or 10 RPE on every single lift in the gym week after week after week. That's a lot of stress. That is not longevity driven. What it means is maybe you go to the gym 3 times a week. Maybe you go to the gym twice a week and you just do some squats, light squats. You just do some deadlifts. You practice functional movements. So you can squat, you can stand up, you can bend over and pick things back up. You can, use overhead presses. You can put things up on the shelf. You can take them back down. You are putting your muscles through resistance because that's how they get stronger. That's how they grow. And the same thing with your joints and bones. You are exposing your body to stress so that it strengthens, but not so much load bearing and not so much stress that it gets hindered. And then we're walking, we're moving, we're going on hikes, we're doing things where we don't get super out of breath, like zone 2 training, below 70% of your max heart rate. You're just moving, you're keeping your heart healthy, you're keeping your bones healthy, you're keeping your joints healthy, but you're not going through super intensive exercise. That's longevity training. That's what it is. So maybe you exercise on Saturday, you go play 18 holes of golf. That's all you do. Maybe your exercise through the week is you get up and you go, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you walk, you go for a 4 mile walk with your neighbor and you talk about whatever. And then Tuesday and Thursday, you go to the gym. And then Tuesday's a lower body day. You do some, some moderately weighted squats, moderately weighted deadlifts. You stretch and do some core exercises. And then Thursday is, you bench, do some pull-ups and overhead presses. And then again, do some more core work and you stretch frequently. And then that's your week. You've moved, you expose your body to external loads. You're keeping your joints, your ligaments, your muscles, your bones strong. You're keeping your heart healthy through movement. That's longevity training. It's a lot different. It's a lot less intense. It's a lot less than most people think they need to do, but Longevity training is pretty mellow. We don't want to stress our bodies. You want to keep your body in homeostasis as much as possible if your goal is longevity. So, and what does that look like? It doesn't look like training CrossFit 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. It doesn't look like, trying to go for PRs every 3 months on your deadlift and your squat. It doesn't look like trying to get as shredded and as big as possible. And, if you're, if you're a girl, have the best ass on the beach come next summer. That's not what longevity looks like, because those things take stress. They take hard work. That stresses your body, and and if you do it over and over and over again for years, it's going to compromise your immune system. It's going to compromise your longevity, your everything. I think it's bad. It's good for you, but it's a stressor, and it's just going to take your body out of homeostasis, and that's what you don't want to do if your goal is longevity. So those are the 3 methods of training, how you can train for your goals. We covered aesthetics, getting bigger, getting leaner, getting stronger, looking better, getting a more classic physique for men and women. It's lifting with intensity, lifting with adequate volume, lifting and then dedicating the correct number of working sets per body part that you want to improve per week. It's recovery. It's, you're not paying attention to any specific lift. It's whatever lift you need to do to grow where you want to grow. For performance, it's sport, it's skill, it's repetition. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to get better at, you need to practice. You need to do rep after rep after rep after rep. It's kind of boring. It's a lot of boring work, a lot of tedious work. But that's how you get better. For longevity, it's doing enough to move to keep your heart healthy, doing enough, resistance training at a moderate level to keep your joints, keep your bones, keep your muscles healthy. But you're basically finding the top end of work that you can do without stressing your body too much, without taking your body out of homeostasis. You want to move your body. You want to do enough to keep you healthy, to keep you able to do the things you want to do, but you don't want to come out of the gym with your legs shaking. You don't want to come out pouring sweat that you're going to pass out. You don't want to get your heart rate to 95% of its max on repeat to condition yourself. That's not longevity-based training. It's mobility. It's light resistance training to keep yourself healthy. It's getting your steps in. It's going on hikes, doing things to decrease your stress, to relax you, to calm you down. That's longevity-based training. So, I hope those helped. Whatever your goals are, if they're longevity, performance, or aesthetic-based, like I said, I hope that training helped. I hope to give you some direction. Obviously, if you ever have any questions, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to answer. Lost part of the student.